Let me make sure this thing is on because my screen, for whatever reason, loves to go black out in the sun. And although it's my typical time of recording, right after I've enjoyed sunrise and created some videos for my meditation channel that's coming, it's super bright today. So Capricorn, if you're ready and you're here at this channel, jump in because your future is so bright. Now, let me also let you know ahead of time that if the dolphins show up like they did when I was recording a video for my Capricorn channel that'll be coming out, I had to go jump on in with them and just know it is an auspicious sign of benefit for you. If it comes in and I have to cut off the video, that means whoo, lottery. That means score, wishes and dreams coming true for all of us, friend. Because that's what this channel is about, getting into our human nature. And a lot of that has to do with nature. It's what keeps us a human being instead of a human doing. It's what puts us into as one of our viewers and hopefully now subscribers said, humankind as opposed to human cruel. That's right. Because when we get into nature, we realize we are a grand part of this grand creation. And we begin to experience it with our whole body and remind our body of who we are and where we truly come from, which is life itself, not this planet. We come from life, and regardless of starseed and Atlantis and Lemur, no, it all comes from and stems from life. So if you just start there as your center point, you're going to have joy and delights abounding, overflowing, innumerable, immeasurable, in ways that cannot be quantified or calculated or whatever else. It is beyond. It is what happens when we go talk angel talk for a minute here. Don't get thrown off if you don't understand. It's all right. Your soul and spirit do. So it's when Metatron and Sanophon come together, reunited like peaches and herb, and it feels so good. That's because it's the eternal flame. You ever wonder why there's such a buzz throughout all the tarot land of twin flame, twin flame, twin flame? That's taking one hole and splitting it into two. That's painful. Because then that becomes like a three-legged race. It becomes attachments and suspensions and trying to deal with the energy on these separate things. But when we come from one and from self, that is true balance. You can turn it any which way, and that thing has a righting mechanism in it, R-I-G-H-T-I-N-G. That means always setting itself proper and straight, kind of like a compass has a true north, right? You have a true self. Let's get you into that, okay, Capricorn? Because I'm telling you, they were having trouble shuffling. They were struggling shuffling. They're like, girl, joy. Just get the word out. Now, if you wonder, I go by joy in my real life, so you might hear me say that sometimes. But the sweet nectar of life abounding, Melissa Joy, that's what we speak from at this channel. And that brings in this new high priestess energy that we have coming in here is like the peaches and herb. Reunite it, feels so good. No longer having to go into the hangman or the hang time or the, slowing it down, getting stuck, getting through world and life university of trying to get the lessons so that you can get the blessings. No, they do not come from the same place. That's the division as opposed to reuniting, letting all points come together. And you'd be so fascinating when you do. Look at that. Just as sweet as a daisy, bright as a daisy, youthful as a daisy. And that does away with that old Neptunian lure. Neptune's out where we can't see it, and it can create this abiding, undergirding feeling of discontent, of maybe some melancholy, those type of things. And you're like, toss that out the window. I'm like, I know now, not when you're up in midair, all right, when you're down on the ground, Capricorn. But this is this high priestess energy coming on in, knowing that you're no more lunar minded, because if you are, that's why they call it lunacy. It used to be called moon mindedness, right? Moon baby, whatever else, there's things going on that get you off and distracted, that get you into the pieces and the parts and taking the whole and making hamburger, all right? Chopping it up, dicing it down, and trying to glue all those little pieces and put it all back together, because you got to learn and you got to earn, and that's how you gain here. There is no gain, learn, earn. There is if you want it to be. And if that feels good to you, roll on, baby, roll on. But that doesn't work in my world. I like the ease, the abundance, the openness. That's what they're talking about here, is no more the hangman, the hang time of having to pay the price to know thyself. Because the Odin tying himself to the tree to get the runes. And ultimately what it finished with is the open symbol, the gateway, which says it's unknown, and it says unknowable, but it's totally knowable. It's just not verbally communicated. It is the experience of oneself. It is the soma. Getting into your sensational self, Capricorn. And this is what it looks like, and that's where Stardust comes from. You come from you. So get into you. Celebrate you. Get in your goldenest self, my friend. Be full of yourself. We recommend that at this channel. We support that at this channel, because when you are you, guess what? I know who you are. I know where you're at, and I know where you're coming from. And I get to enjoy seeing where you're going with it all. In your creatorship, in your permission to yourself to be, all right, somebody already jumping like these fish out here, to be fine like wine. You know you are. So we got temperance coming on in. There's a little bit of hang time now. Funny story. That's what kicked off yesterday, is I'm going out the door in the pitch dark of night. And I've already locked the door, and I'm going to grab the outside handle so that I can pull it too. And I get a fistful of frog. And I'm like, what the heck? And I'm like, ah, because I couldn't see it and I could only feel it. And it's not just gross that it was a frog. That's not the deal. It's that I thought I squished it. And I'm like, oh my God, what a way to start my morning. And then I had to feel it. I couldn't see it. And so it was amplified, right? It was just like this, the haunted house they had at our elementary school. It was fantastic. A bunch of parents built it and put it on. And there was this one part where, you know, it's all dark and everything's painted black and they have the lights down incredibly low. But they have these cubby holes, these cutouts that you have to put your hand through and you feel what's in the bowl. And they're like, it's called like rotten eyeballs. And meanwhile, it's like olives or whatever. And to a child, they're like, ooh. That's what it was like. Sometimes when you don't have the vision for what you're going through, things can become distorted or thrown off. All right. And they're not wanting us to be in that guesswork, because the unknown is knowable. It is knowable. And you can find out what it means to you, which is wild, because as I was pulling up that card, this is what's sitting at the bottom. Remember how we're saying there's no price to be paid? Look at that. You don't have to pay a price to make a decision, because we can often trick ourselves into thinking it's a this or a that, but it's coming from one place. We don't have to put ourselves through the trials, the tests, the temptations to prove it. And that could often be the what seems like our nature, but actually it's our normal. Normal takes everything and puts it down into small little margin of like the collective. And I don't mean the collective energy. I'm talking about that like taking a tree and turn it into a pencil, reducing stuff down to just like reducing its value. Okay, you do not have to reduce your value. Pay a price, get the Mars, get the scars, earn it in order to be worthy of it. Worth ain't nothing here. That can stem from you, but you are valuable. You are valuable, because imagine this frog gripping that sword. And even if it didn't slide down the sword, but my mind just sees it just like, then it has to take off from there. And you can be like, well, I'll master it. I'll get so excellent that I can take off and barely get a nick, not shed any blood, pierce the balloon and it won't pop. That's fine if you're here to entertain other people. If that holds value for you, go ahead. But at the end of the day, and all throughout, I want to experience life. I want to have this presence, this experience, because this is not the nature of the frog, right? They don't have to choose land or water. They're like, oh, I feel like getting wet, ribbit, ribbit, and they jump on in there. And then they're like, oh, I think I need to dry out for a little while, ribbit, ribbit, and they're in there. That is their world. And they're never having to give up one for the other. They're enjoying the moment, experiencing the moment, following their goldenest self. They're like, oh, I think I might, let's do this for a minute. Oh, let's do that for a minute. It's kind of like sometimes when I go to a restaurant, I don't want to just choose one little meal. So I'll get a couple of things off the appetizers if they look appetizing to me. And then I can dibble and dabble all around that. Or, ooh, when you have those share friends that love to go out to eat and they want to get things and do the share thing. Like, ooh, I was thinking about this and that. What do you think about? And they're like, ooh, I was thinking about that too. And also this. And it's like, well, let's get these things together and let's divvy it up so that we can have one experience that has a multitude of sensations. That's the balance that we're talking about here. That still point of the mind. Just like Odin having to go upside down. Remember, I don't know where High Priestess went all up in this deck, but it brings you prosperity when you realize you are everything and nothing at the same time. It's like that Etch-a-Sketch you draw on and make it out, ooh, this is what we're doing today, this is what we're doing right now. And then you can just shake it clear and clean, fresh and clean, fresh as a daisy, just like the High Priestess. But we're taught to be tested here, and test is how you approve and how you graduate and how you move on. But that's not how you graduate. Ooh, from Life University. Trines are coming in. It's the perfect balance point. It's where you can begin to build from. I love that. Build your dreams. Build your dreams. What? By being you. Build yourself. Build that wealth of experience with yourself, and not experience like what you put on a resume. Experiences. Okay. So let's see if there's anything else to come out other than this Two of Pentacles. Now, I'm not seeing anything here. Let me see if we got any animal support coming in for you, because we're about liberating your time here, Capricorn. Invest in it. All right. Do we have any words to go out with Capricorn? All right. Llama and horse. James Brown, he shows up here all the time. He says, kiss yourself. Make love to yourself. With yourself. Divine with yourself. Start with yourself. Why? Because you don't have to convince yourself. Sometimes we get other people involved because we want to try and like narrow it down, get their opinion, get their whatever. They're like, llama is your mama today. And Llama James Brown says, get on the good foot. What foot? Your foot. Whichever foot you're on is the good foot. All right? Whatever you're enjoying and embracing at that moment, you don't have to have a troop or a gang or a tribe or a soul family or whatever else. You can have yourself, and that is plenty. You're like, ooh, I get a full dish of me. I'm like, yes. Scoop it up, serve it up, taste it up. Live your dream, my friend. And that brings in horse. Care for others and let them be free. Being yourself is the greatest vote that you could give to anyone in this world, to be themselves. When we are living in our truth, we don't have to sell it. We don't have to push it. We don't have to emblazon it, to write it, to convince it, to get people on board for it to be true. That's what horse spirit is here to tell you, because horse spirit, when it's showing up and it turned into the unicorn, it's like, wait, we are the worldly. We already have our support. We have our beingness. We have our our golden self, where we come from. We have our source, life itself voted for us, and we voted for life and we came. So don't be entertaining any confuggery energies trying to get up through you, and use yourself. This is yours. And whatever comes through, you're going to see, touch, taste, feel, and smell. So you don't want to be commingling up with other people's opinions and ideas and like hurting yourself and trying to earn it and fit in and adjust and adapt and master. I don't want to master my experience. That make me cry. Because I don't want to have dominion over it. I don't want to dominate any of this. I don't want to dominate any of this. I want to live. I don't want to experience, and there's a liberation to that. There's a freedom to that. There's a magic and a mystery to that, and not something to solve so that I can prove or I can tell others and then seem great. I'm going to kiss myself, friend. How about you? Kiss those buttons down below. Tap that subscribe and jump in here with us on my channel at Joy to the World. You could give it a thumbs up, showing your support. There are other ways to show your support too. If you'd like to share some financial love, I appreciate that. And also, share your voice down below. That's what comments are for. It's a way right now for us to dialogue with each other, for me to get to know a little bit more about you, or to even know you were here. I believe in you in my heart. A baby dolphin is out there, y'all. 2 Capricorns. Double blessing. Get ready for exponential return on your investments. I love you.